The Church cares, and so does the St. Raymond Annadas Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. Hi, I'm Anne DeSantis, Executive Director. In 2015, the Mercedarian Friars came together because they wanted to start a foundation to help families in crisis. And that's exactly what we've been doing over these years. Whether it be something to do with divorce, separation, trauma, job loss, loss of a loved one, or other adversities, we've helped so many families get through those tough times through the spiritual works of mercy. We'd love to hear from you. Please do get in touch with us for our services. They are prayer, priestly consultation, podcasts and videos, and programs and events. We look forward to hearing from you. Just go to nonotus.org and get in touch with me. I look forward to hearing from you. God bless.
Fiat Ministry Network and Patchwork Heart Ministry present Journeys in Faith. Now, here's Anne DeSantis.
Good evening. Welcome to a brand new season of Journeys in Faith with Anne DeSantis on Fiat Ministry Network. It's great to be back. Happy fall to everyone. And I have a wonderful guest for you for our very first show of the season. I have Matthew Pinto. He's a husband, a father, and he is the founder of Ascension Press and also the new Genesis group, the Catholic Incubator. Matt, thanks so much for joining us on Journeys in Faith.
And it's good to hear your voice, and it's good to see your face on this this different medium here.
That's right. That's right. We have so much to talk about. Let's just start out with you. You're a husband, a father. I know that you just shared with me that you're also going to be a grandfather. That's
yes,
such a
for
big deal.
the first time. Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, my oldest son met a lovely girl, great family from down in Ave Maria University, and they got married in January. So, a little bit less than a year ago. And she comes from a large family. He comes from a large family. They were eager to kind of jump into that world. And so in a few months, we will be grandparents. Well, we're already grandparents, but the child will be with us. So our first grandchild will enter this world in just a few months. We're excited.
Awesome. Awesome. And as I mentioned at the beginning, that you are the founder of Ascension Press, and so many people are familiar with Ascension. Let's talk about that. I mean, what Ascension Press and Ascension Presents has done over the years is just incredible. What was that like for you leading that group?
Well, it was extraordinary. I mean, really, if I didn't do anything else for the rest of my life, the personal satisfaction, not from God's point of view, but from my point of view, the personal satisfaction, it would be enough. But I still feel young, at least young in heart. And so there's a lot of other things coming, and which I'd love to share about. But Ascension was extraordinary. It was a blessing, and it was a blessing to many, many dozens of persons who were joining us. It's now being led by my former COO, Jonathan Strait, and the company's in excellent hands with Jonathan and a wider team of people. So good things are coming there. You can expect every year Ascension's going to be doing great things. So it was a great, great experience. How does one begin to put words on 23 years of apostolic, dynamic, fun, exciting, tiring, as all ministry can be, work? But it was a blessing in my life.
It was a blessing in your life, mine, and so many other people. And I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this program. And I just encourage everybody, continue to subscribe to Ascension Press, Ascension Presents, for all of the great work that they're doing, for wonderful Catholic content, both in print media and also obviously in those wonderful videos that we're all very familiar with. And so here's my question of the day for you, Matt, and I'm referring to the Catholic cryptoconference.com website. My question is, what should Catholics make of cryptocurrency, blockchain, and Web 3.0? That's right from your website. And I'm so glad that I got a phone call from you. I guess it was maybe 6 weeks ago or so, telling me about what you're doing now and about this wonderful conference that I personally am very excited to attend.
Well, great. Just by way of a little bit of background. So in discerning the next phase of my life, because again, I feel young at heart, and really there is no real retirement for those of us who love the Lord, and you look at the world and see all that needs to be done. So the next phase of my life, in context, is an entity called the Genesis Group, and you can see the logo there on the screen. The Genesis Group is a Catholic incubator. We might move into kind of venture capital, but not like the secular world does, really helping Catholic ministries that are either already existing, accelerate their work, or Catholic entities that don't exist, incubate their work. So, through a combination of helping with business plans and looking at plans in general for profits or nonprofits to help Catholic ministries. And I've set a personal goal that in the next 10 years, I and the team of people with me, we want to start 20 new Catholic ministries and businesses. And 2 a year we think is very doable. And frankly, if we bring in the whole kind of Shark Tank, we call it dolphin tank approach, well, then many other ideas can come to us and we might be able to give them seed funding. So 20 is just the entities that we want to start. Well, one of those endeavors is an idea that I conceived of. In fact, I'm going to switch a screen for you there. This Catholic crypto conference. And before people kind of shut down in hearing that word crypto, because it's in the news at times and people are combination curious, combination a little scared, skeptical. I get it. I've been through all those emotions. I want to share just a quick analogy or a comparison that I think will maybe help people see what we're talking about. First off, the word crypto, in the way that I'm using it and the way that many use it, is in the broad sense of the word. It's not just cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Ethereum and others. Crypto is the broad word for blockchain, Web 3.0, the metaverse, which is scaring some people, NFTs, non-fungible tokens, something called smart contracts, something called decentralized finance. And what I and many people believe is it's very possible we are looking at a tech wave on par with the size of the internet itself that came to us in the early to mid to late 1990s. So with the broader definition of crypto, meaning not just cryptocurrencies and the 16 or 17 or 18,000 tokens that make up these currencies, of which 95% will fail, we're talking about blockchain, this new technology that really hit the world about 20 years ago, but really 10 years ago in earnest. And so that I wanted to first establish that. And the analogy, and I'll make this point quickly, is if you and I, Anne, were talking in 1995, and I were to say to you, you were Bishop Smith or Bishop Johnson or Father Jones, Bishop Johnson, there's something called email. There's something called the internet. It's also called the World Wide Web. And I know that sounds a little scary, World Wide Web going to capture us all. But many people in New York, the financial capital, and in Silicon Valley, the tech capital, believe that this internet thing is really going to be big. It's going to touch maybe most areas of our life. Well, the church, Anne, substantially missed that wave. We were 5 to 8 to 10 years behind the secular world. With the advent of blockchain and cryptocurrency, I'm positing that we should do a conference now so we're not 5 to 8 to 10 years behind with this new technology.
Yeah, I remember you said these exact words pretty much when you talked to me on the phone and you explained everything. And I thought, oh, wow, this is big. And admittedly, I've had invitations on my website for Bitcoin and different things. And, Matt, I just didn't know too much about it to really delve in. So to me, it's coming at a perfect time when I think most people have heard of Bitcoin. And as you said, there might be somewhat of a negative connotation there, but it's a little bit different when you look at in a broad sense, of what you're doing with this Catholic crypto and the conference that's coming up. And I mentioned to everybody that it's November 17th and 18th in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. And to make sure that as you're watching this program, take out your phone or your laptop and you want to look up CatholicCryptoConference.com and register. And tell us, I mean, we're going to talk more about this after the break, but is there anything else that you wanted to share just about your thoughts about how this all got started and where you see it going?
Yeah. The second one's a big question. So how it got started is I got involved maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but I had a day job. Ascension was glorious, but it was all consuming. And so I just had my assistant purchase Bitcoin and Ethereum and begin to dabble around. But it wasn't until I stepped down from Ascension about 1.5 years ago that I just had a little bit more time to begin to look at the world and reflect and start to extrapolate about where things are going. And the whole crypto thing was in the news. And so I, like tens and tens of millions of people, have gone, down the rabbit hole, as they say, and our minds are getting blown as to what this could mean. First off, I want to put you at ease and anyone who's watching. And many people immersed in the field say that we are barely in the first out of the first inning of a 9-inning baseball game. So we're still very early. Just like in 1997, it would have felt like we were late to the internet after all that had gone on in those first few years. But look now, in the year 2022, 2023 soon, we realized 1997 was the first out of the first inning of a 9-inning baseball game. So we can talk about that in a little bit more detail, including what this could all mean. And I'll give some case studies and examples of how crypto, blockchain, and other things are being used when we come back.
That would be great. So everyone stay with us. We will be right back here on Journeys in Faith. There's a lot more to learn here with Matt Pinto. See you in a few. Welcome back here to Journeys in Faith here on this Friday evening with my guest, the first guest of the season. It's so exciting to have such a wonderful guest on our first show is Matthew Pinto. He is the founder of Ascension Press and also now with the Genesis Group, the Catholic Incubator. During the first half of the show, talk a little bit about his life, faith, and mission, but we're going to just delve right back into where we were, Matt, if you could. You were going to talk about a little bit more of a detail about this Catholic crypto.
Yeah, so Catholic crypto is just kind of a clever name. I love the church. This is a movement, a tech movement, cryptology, cryptocurrency, blockchain, Web3. The metaverse sounds a little scary, and we should have caution. And several other things. And so I concluded a number of months ago that, I love the church. The church needs any and all things that can help it. Is there something here that if we can begin now to study early in the development of these new technologies, do we have an offense and a defensive strategy? An offensive strategy is how can we use these for the gospel? How can we use these for the common good? The defensive strategy, Anne, is we Catholics need to have a seat at the table in the early days of development so we can have our voice be heard and hopefully mitigate misuses. A third reason, and besides the offensive and defensive concepts of why we should do this conference, is I've been learning in the recent months that there are serious Catholics who love their faith, totally immersed in this crypto, blockchain, Web3 space. And so the purpose of the conference in part was to kind of unearth them, to find out who's who and to bring them all together and let them know that they have people in the field who share their worldview, to give encouragement, maybe strategy. And so we're already seeing with the speakers we have about 25 speakers. We're going to end up with about 30 speakers. And about a third, Anne, of our speakers are non-Catholic. I said to them, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, I said to them, not only do you not need to be Catholic, but you don't even need to like the church. As long as you can deliver your expertise to this particular group of Catholics so we can learn about your expertise. So there's always a chance that someone is speaking who may personally, I don't know, but may personally be living a lifestyle contrary to the faith. I would say, let's pray for that person. Let's bring them into a Catholic environment for them to see the liturgy and meet good people. Let's hear their expertise, and then just be patient in those regards. Anyone who knows me knows I love the Lord. I believe every ounce of the deposit of faith. But if there is a means by which the church can be advanced, we're allowed to have persons who can contribute, as long as they're not causing public scandal. So I don't even, maybe that's a big, long-winded way of overstating something, but we have non-Catholics. We're going to have non-Catholics present, but it's going to be a beautiful Catholic event because we got great Catholic speakers. We're going to have beautiful liturgies. We're going to have adoration and great things.
Wow. I mean, you're making me even more excited about being a part of this, because you invited me because I'm the executive director for a Catholic nonprofit, and we want to get on board. I mean, we want to learn as much as we can and be educated on all this and not fall behind, like as you discussed, what happened even with the internet, like be there right at the beginning of that ball game, right? And I think it's very important. And so this conference is going to be held in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. That's outside of the Philadelphia city itself, and right outside in the suburbs there. So, please do consider joining us. Matt, talk more about the conference itself. Now, I know it's November 17th and 18th, so it's 2 days. You talked a little bit about the fact that there's going to be a Catholic component to it, obviously, the prayer, the Mass, and then the speakers. And we can learn from those speakers that might not be Catholic, right? Because
no doubt.
Yeah. And I think it's a good invitation for you, because we're all part of the human family, aren't we?
We are. And remember, well, we're asking the non-Catholic speakers to come in to speak about decentralized finance or the metaverse or NFTs. So they're giving us their expertise in their discipline. And if they're top of the game in that world, I want them at the conference, outside of someone being known publicly for a scandal that would absolutely confuse the faithful, but that would have to be a prominent person, most likely. So one thing that we're going to do, and that I'm really pleased about, first off, we have 5 different tracks that have a multiplicity of speakers over 2 days. So we're going to have a track specifically for new to crypto. It's going to be an intro to blockchain, an intro to cryptocurrency, an intro to Web 3.0, an intro to the metaverse, an intro to NFTs, real introductory, how to protect yourself from some of the nefarious things, people, hijacking your email. And so we're going to have questions like that as well we're going to address. But then we're going to have panels and interesting things as well. But Anne, 3/4 of the way through the conference, I wanted to make this a conference that it wasn't just we in the audience receiving information and we get all excited and that's interesting and good, and often nothing is done with it. So what we're doing 3/4 of the way through the conference is we're stopping all talks. We're going to break up the audience, as many as would desire to, into 5 different strategy sessions where each of them will be given one question that they're particularly interested in, such as how can the church use blockchain? They've already learned about it. Now we want to come up with as many ideas as possible in each of these 5 questions for the purpose of creating a white paper that within 2 months of the conference we can distribute for free as a gift to the church, that here are these new disciplines. Here are what experts and, curious new persons to the field are inquiring might be able to be done with these technologies. So it's going to be very practical, very quick, and we think it's going to be a gift to the church.
Well, I like the way that you're incorporating doing, because my original degree was in teaching, and you can't help but see the fact that you're putting that into tactical sort of real life, not just, jotting things down or memorizing facts, but doing. And that's where people learn, isn't it? When they actually do, they communicate with other people, they brainstorm, and that's where things really happen. So I just think that's great, the way that you're going about this and organizing the conference itself. Somebody's watching this and they're thinking, is this conference for me? Is it really for anybody, Matt? Or is it mostly for people that are in business and working? Or can it be for those, like maybe that stay-at-home parent too? Or would you say that it's more for people who are either working in the church or, doing something in business?
Sure. So the short answer is it's absolutely for everyone, in the similar manner that that the telephone was for everyone and the internet was for everyone. Now, that being said, and this first year I wanted to walk before we ran, so I limited attendance to 400, a little bit less than 400, 385, just because, again, we're taking risk here in putting on the conference. It's no small task. Again, when you have 30 speakers coming in the town with all the lodging and the travel and the rental space, it's quite substantial. So all things being equal, I would prefer most of those 385 plus people to be in ministry, because we would like ministries like your own to understand these technologies, so so the conference can be leaven for you. It can, that old adage is not giving a fish, but teaching someone how to fish, because then you can go off and do this on your own. But it is for everyone. And the reason being is most people at some point are concerned about their own family finances. And this is a real advancement in finance. It's a real advancement in technology. And it's coming. It's coming. All of these technologies are coming. So at a minimum, getting an introductory understanding of these disciplines is not only going to be a fun intellectual exercise, but it's going to be practical. At a minimum, you can talk to your children about these new things, and they'll think you're hip and with it. But really, to me, if I had just one demographic, that had to be there, it would be Catholic dioceses, parishes, and ministries. But we're welcoming all who would have interest, because this is going to affect us all. The level it will is another question, but it's come. It's already here, and it's coming, and we're in the very, very beginning stages.
You're mentioning dioceses and archdioceses, so maybe we should just make a shout out to those people who work at dioceses and archdioceses, archbishops, bishops, all the staff. I mean, obviously, you are trying to make that outreach, and really, we want to make that outreach to the greater Philadelphia area, obviously, right? Don't we? And also to all those surrounding dioceses, but also outside, right? Outside, people that are flying in from other dioceses and archdioceses. Talk about that.
Yeah, in fact, in just a few days, in fact, prior to this call, I was doing a little editing of something. So all 389, I forget the exact number, but it's somewhere in that range, bishops, within about a week and a half, will receive a personalized invitation to the conference. And often they can't do these things, but some will. We already have one bishop who's already registered. So we want to get it out to them, because in our hierarchical church, granted it's a ground up church, but also a top down church, when the bishop says something in his diocese, the diocese often responds, or at least the staff do. So we're hoping that that outreach, and again, in a matter of less than 2 weeks, almost every bishop in the country will have this invitation with some beautiful collateral and marketing material. And there is this reality, though, anytime there's a new idea, the internet itself, I'm not sure if you've ever seen that Jane Pauley Bryant Gumbel YouTube video. It's really interesting to watch. Just go on YouTube and type in Jane Pauley email. And it's like 1994, and they're curious about look at that @ symbol and www. It's really funny seeing it now. This first entry into this new world. Why I bring this up is to make the point that there's cognitive dissonance. The brain doesn't comprehend what you're saying when new technologies hit us. So although the mailing should be done to the bishops, and we are doing it, there'll be curiosity like, okay, what is this and what's this all about? But most people have heard of the words blockchain and Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum and the metaverse. In fact, Facebook changed their name to Meta as the corporate organization. And you don't do that easily unless you think something big is coming. Can you imagine McDonald's changing their name? Well, Facebook changed their corporate name to Meta. And we should be nervous about it, but just because something can be used for evil doesn't mean that it can't be used for good. In fact, if it's being used for evil, we need to insert good into it.
I like that thinking, because there is good that can be extracted from it as we move forward into the future. I mean, I think of churches that are still really doing things by money and check and not doing as much online. Now, a lot of the churches are starting to do a lot more online giving, but wouldn't that be changed, right? I mean, that would be a whole different ball game and would make things, I think, in the end, over time, a lot easier too, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, in some regards, and again, everything has its downside too. I was at a beautiful parish, one of the 2 or 3 most acclaimed parishes in New York City a week ago. And I was giving a little talk, and I wanted some private time beforehand. And so I went to sit in one of the pews in front of the Blessed Sacrament. And, every pew had like 6 little Venmo barcodes. Now, in one regard, they might be seen as crass, but in another regard, it was totally helpful to the parish and the people in the pews. You literally needed to just hold your phone up to that barcode. The church would come up, you could type in $5 or $50, hit one button, and it's done. And so the technologies that are coming through blockchain are even more extraordinary. They're that and more. Obviously, though, with any new industry, it's still bumping and bruising. And I do want to make a disclaimer that you hear me now. I'm putting on a Catholic crypto conference. Our key line on our website says, "Let the conversation begin." In other words, I'm not taking a definitive position here. Now, if it looks like a duck and walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. With all the movement happening with corporate America, Wall Street, venture capital pouring into this industry, A. B, the industry already developing use cases that are being used now and it's working, combined with some of the principles or some of the promises that some of this industry is making, it is worthy of a Catholic discussion. That's where I am in this process. I think it's going to be sizable and big. Certain things are going to collapse within it, but the industry itself is not only here to stay, but it is probably a freight train that's coming.
I admire your courageousness with all of this, because as you just said, you're opening that discussion. You're not saying that every bit and part of it is going to be perfect right away. It's going to take some time to see where all of it lands, right? And I think that's why you're doing this conference, to bring people together to have that conversation.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine if we said in 1994, Catholics universally said, oh, the internet, isn't that thing with pornography? Like, I hear that's the only businesses making money. I'm not having anything to do with that. Well, where would we be if Catholics en masse, and masse, and writ large, decided not to do anything with the internet? You and I wouldn't be speaking here.
I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And Father Mike and Jeff Cavins and all the good projects at Ascension and Bishop Barron and others, none of this would be happening. So I would humbly say, let's slow down, let's take a breath, and let's begin to use the God-given minds that we've been given to see where we can steward this new technology in the direction of the good, the true, and the beautiful.
Amen. Amen. Now, unfortunately, we're almost out of time. So I wanted to give you a chance to say anything else that you want to say about the conference. I'll say that website one more time for our audience. It's CatholicCryptoConference.com to sign up. So Matt, whatever you want to share.
Sure, thanks, Anne. You can learn about the entity that is behind it, the Genesis Group, through a pretty easy to remember URL, web address, CatholicCreation.com, because Genesis is about creating Catholic initiatives, Catholic creation. Think of Genesis, the touching of the finger, God creation. And then you can, through some buttons on that site, you'll see how to get to the Catholic Crypto Conference as well. But I would simply say, and it's not an adage that I throw away lightly, I believe this next statement. Who's ever listening, if you wouldn't mind saying one prayer for us, maybe even right now, maybe as soon as the video ends, to say one Our Father, one Hail Mary, for the success of the conference. I would ask you to consider coming out. I think it's going to be fabulously intriguing and interesting and exciting for anyone who's seeing it. If you're in ministry or work for a diocese or any ministry, or if you have a secular business and you just want to see what blockchain is all about, come out to the conference. And I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, Matt. And it was great to have you as my first guest for this 2022-2023 season. Very exciting. Wishing you all the best. Thank you so much. And we'll see all of you here next week here on Journeys in Faith with Anne DeSantis on Fiat Ministry Network. God bless.
Journeys of Faith is a production of Fiat Ministry Network and Patchwork Heart Ministry. For more information about Journeys of Faith, email info@fiatministrynetwork.tv. And be sure to friend, follow, and like us on social media. Just search Journeys in Faith with Anne DeSantis.